folks here at Real Sports, I'm Brian Gumbel. Thank you so very much.
Doubleheader originates from Atlantic City, New Jersey. First tape coverage of last week's rematch between Shane Mosley and Fernando Vargas. Then the live fight, Arturo Gatti versus Carlos Baldomir of Argentina for the welterweight title, next.
The following is a presentation of HBO Sports.
Tonight, the sweetness, the ferociousness, and the thunder of boxing take center stage. After their bruising battle last February, Sugar Shane Mosley looked for a decisive win, while ferocious Fernando Vargas sought revenge last Saturday night. What we saw was the rebirth of a once great fighter, dominant again.
Shane Mosley's hand-speed advantage immediately apparent here.
And possibly the final demise of one of boxing's most passionate warriors.
The fight is done, and so may Vargas be.
Also tonight, the passion of Arturo Gatti. Passion shown in his way of fighting. A passion born out of his ability to come back.
Arturo Gatti is in serious trouble.
Can you believe Arturo Gatti?
For 15 years, we've been thrilled by Gatti's dramatic victories and agonized by his brutal defeats. After a one-sided loss to Floyd Mayweather 13 months ago, Gatti moved up to 147 pounds and found rejuvenation.
Once again, the hero rises.
Tonight, Arturo Gatti looks to rise to welterweight glory. Standing in his way, champion Carlos Baldomir, who stunned the boxing world with his upset victory over Zab Judah last January. First up, the dramatic conclusion of the Mosley-Vargas saga. Then, Arturo Gatti battles welterweight champion Carlos Baldomir next.
Championship boxing is back in high definition from Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City, New Jersey. First up, a replay from last Saturday night where Shane Mosley vanquished Fernando Vargas in a surprisingly one-sided 6-round wipeout. Then live, a fight for the welterweight title between champion Carlos Baldomir and New Jersey hometown favorite Arturo Gatti. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley. We welcome you to this special edition doubleheader of HBO's World Championship Boxing. Special tonight because the most popular American East Coast fighter of the past 15 years, Arturo Gatti, tonight makes his 20th appearance on HBO, joining only Oscar De La Hoya, Roy Jones, Lennox Lewis, and Shane Mosley, the only 5 fighters who have reached or exceeded 20 appearances on HBO. It's quite a distinction for Gatti, and in only his second appearance in the welterweight division, he has a chance to win the championship as he fights surprise tough guy champion Carlos Baldomir, who's come all the way here from Argentina to Atlantic City to put the championship at risk. Meanwhile, before we see Gatti and Baldomir live, we're going to go back 1 week to the rematch between Shane Mosley and Fernando Vargas last Saturday night at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. They fought earlier this year in a fight won by Mosley when Fernando Vargas's grotesquely swollen left eye forced a stoppage of the fight in the 10th round. Ever since then, Vargas has been saying the stoppage was premature, he was gaining control of the fight, and indeed would have won it had not the fight been stopped. Mosley has been saying, nonsense, everybody knows I was beating him up, and the second fight will be just the same as the first. For a look at who was right, let's go back to last Saturday night and the way I called it in company with Larry Merchant and Emmanuel Stewart. Tail of the tape for Fernando Vargas against Shane Mosley the second time. Mosley will be 35 years old September 7. Vargas will be 29 on Pearl Harbor Day. A 1-inch height advantage for Fernando. He's the bigger, heavier-boned fighter. Arm length advantage, though, 1.5 inches to Shane Mosley. Unusually long-armed for his body, and arm length here is measured, of course, from the armpit to the end of the fist. They both weighed in within a pound of the 154-pound limit. Unofficially, Shane Mosley has rehydrated only to 159 pounds. Fernando Vargas putting on an unofficial 14 pounds overnight. He'll probably outweigh Mosley by 8 or 10 pounds in the ring. CompuBox numbers, Larry Merchant.
A look at the first fight through the numbers. You can see Mosley was more active, even though the numbers of punches were close that were landed. The more active fight often will get the benefit of the doubt in close rounds. Power punches, Mosley did land a couple of handfuls more of them. Vargas actually threw more power punches.
Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Shane Mosley Fernando Vargas fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the Unified Rules of the Association of Boxing Divisions. There is no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. In case the cut is caused by an accidental headbutt, we go to the scorecards if the 4 rounds have been completed, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final round.
Fernando Vargas says that he needs to get off to a better start in round 1. He needs to move his head better to avoid Shane Mosley's right hand. He needs to set up counter shots. And particularly, he feels like he needs to get in some body punches in the first round to begin to soften Mosley up.
Well, the one thing that I noticed right away when they enter the ring, Mosley is dressed for speed for this fight. He's got those smaller trunks, shorter trunks instead of the big baggy ones that he's used in most recent years. His shoes are much lighter, and therefore that little speed element, probably from talking to Oscar De La Hoya.
That only stands to reason that as fighters like Mosley, De La Hoya, Barrera, and Hopkins spend more time together shoulder to shoulder in Golden Boy Promotions, they'll share input with each other, and that will improve them all.
Oh, yeah. Well, Oscar always, when I was trained, he always believed in dressing like the old school fighters with the light, short trunks, and all. He always looking for every advantage in speed.
Freedom of motion.
And right at this stage, I can see that's going to, I think, be the biggest factor in this fight already. I think Fernando is just moving a lot slower. His outfit and everything else are just much slower than Shane.
Fernando landed a very low blow, and Mosley talked to Kenny Bayless about it after Kenny Bayless said to Fernando to keep it up. It was not a heavy shot. Fernando knew that he was throwing a low blow. Here's the right hand with which Mosley damaged Vargas's eye in the first fight as he sneaks it over the top to begin.
Yeah,
and then a jab from Mosley.
I don't see what Fernando's going to do to it because he's got his weight bending so much forward over his left foot that it's very difficult for him to pull back or to do anything from those right hands. His body position is very bad, and I think Shane's going to shoot a lot of right hands tonight at him.
Vargas hasn't really gotten off early. Mosley's landed a couple of good left jabs and the one sneaky right hand over the top. They hold each other on one side and trade body shots on the other, and now Kenny Bayless will break them up. Quicker hands for Mosley. That was part of the problem for Vargas first time around.
Yep.
Vargas seems very conscious of trying to stay away from the right hand of Mosley, where he was peppered with it early in the first fight.
The biggest thing I've noticed to me, maybe I'm wrong, Vargas seems exceptionally slow tonight, contrary to what I thought. He was very slow with his body movement and his feet.
Well, on the HBO unofficial scale, Fernando Vargas outweighed Shane Mosley by 8 or 10 pounds coming into the ring. And that further would accentuate the speed advantage for Mosley if in fact it's true.
Because he has had a slow round, sizing up Mosley in this fight, Mosley has been able to just purely outbox him rather than outpunch him, right, as he did early in the first
maneuvering
fight.
him with his footwork and rhythm.
All right, listen. You gotta establish the jab, champ. You understand? We gotta get that jab established. Along with the pressure. Make sure that you're moving your left foot when you use your jab. When you use your tick-tick, stutter step, all right? Now look here, I need you to chop with the right hand when you get close to him, all right? Don't throw forced shots, don't reach for him. Every time you get ready to throw a right hand, expect him to throw a hook, all right?
Feint on him, and off the line. Body, head, finish on top. But the hard jabs he worked on, at one point or another, use it, but off the feint. And then you got good hooks. You can hook him, catch the other side. Okay? So
round one relatively easy for Mosley, especially by CompuBox count. Shane Mosley given credit for landing 19 out of 64 punches in the first round. Fernando Vargas only 3 out of 29. Vargas seemed exceedingly conscious of trying to get out of the first round without incurring any damage at the hands of Shane Mosley's quick right hand.
If he's trying to outbox Mosley, I don't know if that's possible.
Work out, come on, work out, stop! Step back clean.
Well, and it would be difficult to try to track down Mosley on the basis of landing one big life-changing shot. You look at Shane Mosley's chin record, he's only been knocked down in one of his professional fights. First fight with Vernon Forrest.
Work out, fellas, come on, work out of there.
And Moses making a mistake of whenever Fernando's coming in, just meeting him halfway and bending in and clinching instead of moving off to the side, because Fernando is not moving well on his feet and he gets off balance, but Shane is bending into him instead of moving away more.
Stop! Step back. Move back. Clean. It's clean. It's clean.
Vargas hasn't really landed a meaningful punch yet in the fight. Starting to throw a little bit more upstairs, but
come on, work out of there. Work out.
There's a body shot by Vargas straight to the solar plexus of Mosley.
I'm asking you to work out, fellas. Come on, I'm asking you to work out.
So the pattern of the first fight repeats to a certain degree here, as Vargas is the slower starter. And now a little bit more of an even fight begins to evolve as they start to trade at close quarters.
Well, the referee is being very, very slow in breaking these clinches up.
Listen, I'm telling you to work out. Let's work out, all right? Here we go. Tight in.
I'm telling you to work out, Kenny Bayless said.
Well, if they don't, then he's got to separate them.
Sweeping right hand landed for Shane Mosley. Vargas gets in a left to the body. It was a little bit low. Kenny Bayless says, keep it up. Vargas says, get out of my way. I'm fighting here. Quick jab for Mosley. Little right hand over the top. Just a glancing blow.
Work out, work out, work out.
Whatever Vargas thinks he's trying to do, which should unfold over the next few rounds, he's not using his natural strength to overcome Mosley.
He's trying, but he's just moving it so slow, and Shane is bending into him instead of staying away, which gives him some advantage because Shane is not staying on the outside, but nevertheless, Vargas is just moving too slow to me.
Shane Mosley appears to be the winner of the first couple of rounds, landing and throwing more against Fernando Vargas, and now he goes back to Reunion Corner, where after 4-fight hiatus with trainers like Joe Goosen and John David Jackson, he is back with his father, Jack Mosley. You are looking at tape coverage of Shane Mosley versus Fernando Vargas, the rematch last week in Las Vegas. There's a live shot of the boardwalk in Atlantic City, where later tonight, Carlos Baldomir defends the welterweight championship against the ultra-popular Arturo Gatti. A short time ago, our Larry Merchant visited Gatti in his dressing room.
Arturo, when you heard or saw that Baldomir had won the welterweight championship from Zab Judah, did you know instantly that this was going to mean something to you?
Yeah, definitely, but I had a fight against Thomas Dangard, and I was worried about that fight, but that had calls from my manager, my promoter. It was something we were looking at, and I was definitely the best candidate for Baldomir.
Had you ever heard of him before?
Never. I just know he beat Zab Judah, and there's a reason why he's here tonight. So.
What do you know about him now?
He's a tough fighter, and he beat Zab Judah, and I know he came prepared. He upset Zab Judah in New York City, and he's come to New Jersey to try to beat me. That's gonna be hard, but.
Can you beat a big natural welterweight?
Well, we're gonna find out. I trained very hard for this fight, and I'm very excited.
So are we.
The Gatti faithful will fill Boardwalk Hall again tonight, but now let's go back to more from Las Vegas, the rematch between Vargas and Mosley.
don't let him tie you up so much, okay, Shane? When you got that open hand, you got to go for it. The open hand, go for it. And you're hitting it with tremendous body shots, but you still haven't unleashed a good hard jab. Every now and then, you got to stick him with a hard jab. You got to let him know that you're just going to, you know, range find him with your jab.
He blocked his jab pretty good.
Feint him out of position. That's what the feint's for, okay? And you got to relax out there, too. Just relax, okay?
Tell him.
You got to be...
Right here you see Shane landing the right hand, similar to what he landed so often in the first fight. Because Vargas was coming in with his head bent forward, where a lot of times he can't even see the punch coming on the side.
Well, he can hear that when it caught him right on the ear.
Yeah.
Round 3 begins. Vargas still trying to gain a foothold in the fight. And you heard Jack Mosley saying to Shane, you need to crack him with some good hard jabs. Right hand lands for Mosley. He doubles up on the right hand. Shane Mosley's hand speed advantage immediately apparent here. Vargas catches him with one left hand. Mosley almost put his glove on the canvas.
Yeah, Vargas doesn't seem to have any defense. You know, sometimes you see a guy throwing a right hand, you roll your shoulders, maybe you're shielded by pushing your left hand out. He's not doing anything, just coming in and hoping that he doesn't get hit with it, and that's it.
Mosley fans in the crowd begin to chant for Shane. Kind of a scratch and sniff fight so far for Vargas. He still hasn't landed a big clean shot, and now he gets in a good left hook to the body. Mosley countered with a right hand upstairs. Vargas misses with a chopping right hand over the top, and now they're beginning to trade. Another sneaky quick right hand for Shane Mosley. Primary weapon against Vargas so far. Vargas almost slips as he leans in. Quick left hook for Mosley. And another quick left hook and a thudding right hand to follow as Mosley hot-shotting Vargas from close range.
If Mosley keeps doing what he's doing and keep his body in an upright position like that, he wins very easy. It's when he starts bending forward when he gets hit. But if he fights at that distance where he can take advantage of Vargas' slowness, bad balance, he'd win this fight very easily.
And Mosley set up the right hand over the top, landed it flush on Vargas' left eye. Vargas lands a jab and sneaks in a left hook. Little body shot for Fernando. Mosley taps him on the head. Hard body punch with the right hand by Shane Mosley. And that stops Fernando's punch output for the moment. Double jab, triple jab. 1, 2, 3, 4 jabs in a row for Shane Mosley before Vargas reaches with a body punch. Good body shot by Mosley again. He's had 2 or 3 stinging right hands to the Vargas ribcage.
Yeah, he's landing these pot shots and he's fighting at the right distance right now too.
First 3 rounds in the first fight went to Shane Mosley. The pattern repeats again 5 months later.
Vargas said he has them all figured out from the first round. First fight, you could have fooled me.
What are you looking for? You looking for a knockout right now? You got to win these rounds, man. You're not picking and shooting back with your jab. You just sliding along. He's measuring you, and he's looking for the right hand, and he's touching you. You understand? You're not moving your head. You're not getting under him and throwing the body shot hook right hand upstairs like we worked on. All right? You're not even throwing the 1-2s up top. You understand? You just plotting along. Come on, baby, get your head into this shit. All right? Let's go to work, champ. You got a great jab. I want to see it.
Got to get a little more mean inside, okay? Don't be passive with
Thursday, July 27, it's Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel. Among the stories, we sit down with Terrell Owens, the NFL's reigning king of controversy, for his first primetime interview since his tumultuous divorce from the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay? Don't throw the right left uppercut. Hit him with that right uppercut, drop under, and come back with a hook.
CompuBox jab numbers through the third round. Shane Mosley, 27 out of 109. Highly creditable. Fernando Vargas, 7 out of 40. Not much better than in the first fight when he only threw 88 jabs all night. Harold Letterman, how'd you score the first 3 rounds?
Look at you, 3-0, 30-27. Sugar, Shane Mosley. Jim, he's winning it on hand speed, clean punching. For 2 rounds, I was watching a wrestling match. I gotta tell you, Kenny Bayless was very slow breaking him up, but in the 3rd round, Bayless started to pull him apart, just like he is there, and that's what you gotta do. 3-0, Shane Mosley.
Talk about beating your man to the punch. You just saw Mosley beating Vargas to the punch mercilessly with the right hand, and he's doing it over and over and over right here.
He's getting off faster than Fernando, and actually, Fernando doesn't have too much of an ounce for anything right now.
You heard how disappointed Danny Smith was in Fernando's corner, saying you're just plodding along, you're not really doing anything. It doesn't look as though Vargas is physically into the fight
I
yet.
don't think that Vargas can do any better than this. I actually really do think that the back injuries, and as I said earlier, in those really brutal fights that he was involved in, was taking a toll on him.
For the past few years, he's been fighting with a bulging L5 disc, a bulging disc in the 5th lumbar vertebra. He himself acknowledges that when the boxing career is over, the disc will probably require surgery. Emmanuel, it's just impossible for me to imagine somebody fighting competently at the top level in the sport with that kind of disability.
I agree with you, Jim, and I have a lot of respect for him, too, for this. And
oh, he's a courageous guy.
He's a very decent man, and in fact...
Yeah, but let's remember, he had that same disc problem 4.5 months ago, and he fought a much stronger fight. He started to go after him in this round, put pressure on him, use his naturally bigger size to make it a hard fight.
Now he throws a right hand over the top. He got tattooed with right hands early in the round, but suddenly Vargas looks just a little bit more energetic as he stands up on the balls of his feet and begins to try to move more.
Well, actually, the last fight, I'll be very honest with you, I wasn't that even impressed with that fight, to be honest with you. The only thing that I saw effective was what he just did thoroughly, was he landed straight right-hand leads. But he was slow to me even in that fight.
Well, he's always going to be slower than Shane Mosley.
Vargas needs a way to make his greater size and strength a big factor in the fight. And the problem is that he's getting hit with straight shots by Shane Mosley.
Work out, work out.
Whatever adjustments that Vargas is trying to make, it hasn't worked. He's got to go to plan B.
Once again, that's tape of the rematch between Shane Mosley and Fernando Vargas from last week. There's Carlos Baldomir of Argentina. He has not lost a fight in more than 7 years. He's won the welterweight championship. Huge upset earlier this year. About 20 minutes from now, he'll be walking to the ring against Arturo Gatti. But here's what happened against Zab Judah in Madison Square Garden on January 7th this year. Judah, as you saw there, attempted to hit Baldomir with a low blow at the end of referee's instructions, and was talked to about it by Arthur McCanny Jr. But in the first few rounds of the fight, Judah's greater hand speed and boxing ability seemed to stand him in good stead. Then in the 7th round, Baldomir began backing Judah up, hitting him with hard shots. And from this point forward, Judah wanted no part of the physical contact in the fight. Constantly moving away from Baldomir in the closing rounds, he set the stage for the judges to give to Baldomir a well-deserved upset victory. And for a fighter with 9 losses and 6 draws already on his record, a shocking welterweight championship. Now let's go back to Las Vegas to resume our coverage of the rematch between Mosley and Vargas.
You're not winning no rounds, baby. You're not winning no rounds. You're plotting along and you're using your jabs occasionally. You're not using your jab enough. And you thought, I need you to chop with the right hand because he's doing like that. And he's dropping, and your right hand is going across him. I want you to chop down with it.
You can hit him with a jab, a hard jab, and a right hand, a left hook. You can run combinations on his ass when you want to. He's not doing shit.
Just wait for you to get broken down a little more.
But you get, okay, but get on your toes a little bit so you can get some clean shots off. So the judge is judging. You can't say, oh, he was in the fight by.
Right here, you see Shane Mosley landing the right hand, very similar once again to what he did in the first fight. And it's the same thing because Vargas has his head so much forward that it makes it difficult for him to avoid getting hit with those right hands.
Okay, let's go. Second.
And there's simply speed. Once again, Larry, as you said, there's too much of a speed difference in this fight.
Those were right hands from throughout the first 4 rounds by Shane Mosley. Once again, it's been the biggest factor in the fight. Mosley's quick right hand. On Harold Letterman's card, he's won each of the first 4 rounds. Copy box numbers in the 4th. Mosley, 25 out of 54. Vargas, 15 out of 55. It's been a Shane Mosley fight, and Vargas needs to do something different. As Larry Merchant said at the end of the last round, where's plan B?
Come on, work out, work out, work out.
There's the right hand again. And Mosley swinging away with impunity as Vargas ducks to try to slip a punch.
Stop, step back, fellas. Here we go, clean. Let's keep it clean. Here we go, here we go. Work out. Work out. Stop, stop, step back.
Vargas fans try to get excited at a near headbutt collision and a short right hand that Fernando managed to land.
But I think that Shane landed the right hand there. His got off a little faster.
Come on, work out of here.
Vargas lands a jab that momentarily snaps Mosley's head back.
So far, I think that jab and a right hand lead the round before were the best punches that I've saw him land the whole night. But he should still shoot more of those right hand leads when he gets close like that. That's a very effective punch for him.
This is the first time in the fight that Vargas has consistently been able to back Mosley up.
Watch your hands.
Mosley fires in a left hook as Vargas was stepping forward. And now the right eye is beginning to show damage as Shane Mosley's left hook has begun to touch up Fernando Vargas's right eye, and there's blood outside the right eye of Vargas. So it was the left eye in the last fight. It's the right eye that's bleeding now. Right hand over the top by Vargas. He lands a left.
If Vargas could really pick up his pace, a little speed, and put pressure on at a little faster tempo, he has a very good chance still of winning this fight.
Maybe the sight of his own blood will cause him to step up the tempo. And that's Kenny Bayless is going to ask a doctor to take a look at the cut.
It was a punch. Oh, that's okay. Just a little punch.
And the bad news for Vargas, Bayless says it was a punch. Certainly looked as though it was a left hook that caused the damage.
Work out, work out, work out.
Another quick left hook for Mosley.
Well, if Vargas has been more successful in not getting peppered with as many right hands in this fight, it's been at the expense of leaving himself open for more jabs like that. And as a consequence, his other eye has opened up.
Hand-speed advantage for Mosley, entirely visible here as they flurry to the end of the 5th round. For the first time, Fernando Vargas pumps a fist to try to get his crowd into the fight, but it's the Mosley people who are celebrating in Las Vegas.
And that's all he's doing is boxing and touching you, looking for right hands. He's coming underneath every now and with the body shot. You're not jabbing enough. I don't want you jumping in with lead body shots, man. All right? Don't jump in with lead body shots. Use your jab before you do anything, baby. You got to establish your distance and your range, and I need you to chop with the right hand when you get there. And every time, you ain't even threw a 1-2 straight yet.
How you feel?
Feel good.
Feel good? Okay, good, good. Watch. Okay, continue. Take a deep breath. Doing good, but you still haven't gotten on your toes so you can pop in and pop him with that jab. I want you to bust his nose, bust his eye, bust his lip with that jab. You have a hard enough jab to do that. Okay? Just, and then when you take that half step back, come back, bam. He's dropping forward, coming forward on you. Half step back, uppercut him, hook, or hit him with a right hand or something. If you hit him hard enough, he ain't got no.
Emmanuel Danny Smith, Vargas's trainer, was scolding him in the corner. Is that a good idea?
I think so in this case, yeah. I just don't think that Vargas can do any better. But he's right. He's fighting so lethargic and just plodding as he moves in. And Shane is just slowly picking up the points and building up a big lead. But I don't think that actually Vargas can do any better, though.
We're in the 6th of a scheduled 12. CompuBox numbers in 5. Mosley 25 out of 63, including 11 punches connected in the last minute of the round. Vargas 15 out of 59. It was a slightly better round for Fernando, but he cannot step up and say, I won that one quite yet.
And when you look at the fact that I think for just natural body strength, he's probably about 13 pounds bigger than Shane back for his natural strength. Just as he said, he feels more comfortable as a middleweight, but Shane feels he's more comfortable at 147. But he cannot take advantage of that because he cannot apply that force fast enough.
Vargas trying to throw a right hand over the top. His trainer, Danny Smith, keeps asking him to establish his jab. Fernando tries a jab to the body there and the jab upstairs there. Maybe he's got Danny's words in his head and is thinking more clearly about trying to set things up with a jab. Mosley's jab is quicker and is landing way more consistently.
You see Shane's confidence is growing now when I think he's really just settling in and realizing the big speed differential between the two of them now.
Vargas.
Well, Vargas has decided to see if he can do better counter punching. He's backing up, circling, hoping to lure Mosley into doing that and catching him with something.
That's what he did most of the night in one of his best performances ever against Ike Quartet.
Yeah, but Shane is just Shane. I was going to say Shane is going to him because he sees that he's too slow. That's it.
Vargas having tremendous difficulty responding to the left hook knockdown. And now he's up, and he's going to give Kenny Bayless a sign to let him know that he wants to keep fighting. But Vargas may not have legs at the moment. Yeah. He was wobbly as all get out after the big left hook. He takes the right hand.
That's why Shane was going forward.
And the fight is stopped. Yeah. The fight is stopped as Kenny Bayless has seen enough.
The fight is done, and so may Vargas be.
Could well be. But the celebration surrounds that man. And you're tempted to say that he looked as good tonight with his combination punching as has been the case in years.
He did a great job, and I was reading his mind when he was starting to go forward because he realized really how slow and vulnerable Fernando was, and he had changed up his strategy then. Because I think at the beginning he was still conscious of Fernando's strength, but I think he felt comfortable after a few rounds and realized that this guy is just so slow and easy to hit that he was just looking for that one power punch. He was no longer trying to get points.
And what do you think this does, Emmanuel? Setting up a potential fight between Shane Mosley and Floyd Mayweather Jr.
It sets up a great fight.
I mean, this
no
knockout
championship
doesn't have to be.
Right,
this wasn't for a championship. This knockout, so sensational, makes that fight bigger than ever. And despite the fact that Mosley has said categorically he would not fight Mayweather this year, this could lead to the kind of over-the-rainbow pot of gold allure that changes his mind.
The fourth loss of Fernando Vargas's career. His 4 losses come to a who's who of fighters of his era. 1 to Trinidad, 1 to De La Hoya, 2 to Shane Mosley. And as for the prospect of Mosley fighting Mayweather, I say, do it now. Shane hasn't looked that good in a long, long time. There's the stoppage by Kenny Bayless. Fernando Vargas simply getting too much punishment too consistently from Shane Mosley, who overwhelmed him with hand speed and athletic talent. A big win for Shane Mosley. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the particulars on the stoppage.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes at 2 minutes, 38 seconds of round number 6 here at the MGM Grand of Las Vegas. As referee Kenny Bayless steps in and calls a halt, the winner by TKO victory, from Pomona, California, Sugar Shane Mosley.
CompuBox numbers, total punches, a wipeout. Mosley landing exactly twice as many as Vargas, throwing 60 more, and landing at a 41% connect rate. When you do that, usually you're going to win the fight. Vargas just never really got off with anything sharp and definitive. Power punches, 74-47. This was a much more one-sided fight than the first time around. Mosley landing at a 59% connect rate. And again, when you do that, you're likely to win the fight.
Yeah, especially when you have an opponent right there that you could hit as easy as he was hitting Vargas.
Larry Merchant stands by with our old friend, Sugar Shane Mosley.
Thank you very much, Jim. All right, I want to recount something that just went on here between Shane Mosley and his boss and partner and whatever you want to call Oscar De La Hoya. Tell us what you said about that knockout punch.
Well, I mean, I remember watching Oscar fight Vargas, and he threw that perfect left hook. He was bouncing a little bit on his toes, and then he bam, jumped in, and he threw a nice hook and wobbled him. I think the first time, I don't know if he dropped him that last time, but I was thinking about Oscar when I was jumping on my toes, throwing the jab. So I'm about to throw this nice, quick left hook on him, just like Oscar, you know.
What made this fight so much easier for you?
Well, I mean, I knew that he was a lot slower than me. I mean, he's strong, and he was doing something different by staying real low and making it difficult for me to hit him in the first couple of rounds. So I had to readjust. I think I started getting on my toes and jabbing a little bit better. You know, the left hook was there for me to hit because he knew that I was going for the right hand, so he wasn't expecting the left hook.
Do you think that there was something wrong with him or just his strategy that he didn't try to impose his strength on you as he tried later in the fight the first time?
Well, I think that he was a little weaker for this fight than he was for the first fight. For some reason, maybe trying to make weight. But I noticed when I hit him in the body, I was breaking him down a lot quicker. That's why I wasn't throwing as many punches. I was trying to get that right shot because I knew that if I hit him real good that I can knock him out.
Well, you're back with your father, Jack. Jack said you should have beaten him easier the first time. He was here. What credit do you give him for this performance?
Oh, I give him all the credit. I mean, we was in the gym working very hard. Like I said, I've been saying through the whole the telecast that I've been working very hard, and he was very inspirational in the camp. I mean, for everybody. So So you're saying that this is a remarriage that's going to work, unlike most boxing fathers and sons who separate. Yeah, definitely. We got together, and we're working very hard together, and. As you can see, there was a pretty good left hook there, and I think it was the 6th or 7th round. So I mean, hey, I'm happy.
All right, let's go back to the knockout, and you describe what you saw and how you felt and what you did.
Well, it was a combination that me and my father was working on when we was on our toes, working on that bounce back left hook. As I was on my toes, I was throwing jab, and I basically I set him up. So I jabbed and kind of bounced back because I knew he was going to throw a shot, like a left jab or something. When he threw his left jab, I kind of counted back, boom, with left hook right away, and caught him.
All right, Shane, this sensational knockout can change the landscape for you. Now, earlier you had issued almost categorical statements that you would not fight Floyd Mayweather at welterweight this year. This kind of performance can explode that in terms of people wanting to see it. So, if there is the possibility of making a huge payday, maybe the biggest one you've ever made, will you reconsider your earlier statements?
Well, I mean, you never know what happens, but I know that I plan to go on trips and stuff like that even before this fight, and a fight in November, I don't know if I'll be able to properly train in November, so that's why I said next year will be a perfect opportunity for me to step in the ring with Floyd Mayweather.
So the door is a little bit open if somebody should lay an offer on the table for you next week.
Definitely. I mean, I know there's a fight in November, and he has that card in November. I mean, Margarito's sitting out there waiting for the opportunity, and he's one of the next top welterweights out there. Won't they go ahead and fight? And next year, I mean, me and Floyd can meet up after that fight.
Well, wouldn't that possibly interfere with the plans of your boss or partner, Oscar De La Hoya, to fight him next May? Why not seize the opportunity now if it comes along?
Well, I don't know. Like I said, I mean, as I'm sitting here, my tooth is a little loose right now. I'm trying to figure out if I gotta go to the dentist and give me some dentures in a second.
So you can't think ahead to Monday.
So I can't think ahead. I've been feeling my tooth right now. I mean, I feel like it's coming out. It looks like it, but I feel like it's coming out. So I got to see what's going on,
All right, thank you very much, Shane. Congratulations on an outstanding performance.
Thank you.
Jim?
All right, very quickly, Emmanuel Stewart, because we don't want to lose Fernando Vargas if we have the chance. If Shane Mosley were to fight Floyd Mayweather, given that Shane has won fights at 154, Floyd's never been there, is Mosley by nature the bigger, stronger man?
No, I don't think so. Shane has never been really a big guy. He's looked like his best is about 143, 42. I think the weight and the strength would be about the same for the most part. I don't think it would be a difference.
It would be fascinating. Larry's got Fernando Vargas right now.
Fernando, thank you for coming by. Different fight than the first time. You appeared to be slower. Was it a strategy you were trying to pursue, or was there something else that gave you problems?
No, I take nothing away from his performance. I mean, I was starting to I was putting pressure on him, but I started putting my punches together. He caught me with a good shot, and that was it. You know what I mean? I took nothing away from his performance.
What does this mean to you in your career? You've talked in the past, your back problems and so on. Where do you think you go from here?
Yeah, I need to see. I need to talk to my fiance, to my family, and we'll see what we do. But hey, I thought I was doing good, and then he caught me with a good shot, and it's a blast boxing. You know what I mean?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was 1 week ago in Las Vegas on tape. Now we are live in Atlantic City, New Jersey. There's a nighttime look at the boardwalk. The action is inside Boardwalk Hall, where once again we have a virtually full house as Arturo Gatti's crowd has piled in here to watch their man in what will be his 20th appearance on HBO. That's a milestone. Already we've cited the significance of that one. Here I am with Emmanuel Stewart and Larry Merchant as we get ready to build up to Gatti Baldomir. But first, let's sum up what happened a week ago. Larry, that looked like vintage Shane Mosley, the Shane Mosley who was once ranked the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. How much of that might have been an illusion because Vargas seemed to bring so little to the ring?
If it was an illusion, it was a vintage illusion, Jim. Last week, Shane Mosley looked like he was playing chess to Vargas's checkers, reminding us of how special he once was, how competitive he still is. Almost instantly with that left hook. The big question in boxing changed from will Oscar fight Floyd next year to will Shane fight Floyd this year? Unfortunately, the answer looks like it's going to be no, despite the fact that his partner and promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, gave a feverish sales pitch to Mosley to take the fight, despite the fact that he could make up to $8, maybe even $10 million. Apparently, he doesn't want to change those plans. It's nice to know that he's that secure, Jim.
Why? Why is he turning down this kind of money to fight Floyd Mayweather right now?
He has a kind of almost amateur attitude about these things. It's an idealistic attitude. You may remember he refused a $12 million offer for a third fight against De La Hoya after beating him twice because he felt that he should have gotten an even split of the spoils and instead took a lot less to fight Winky Wright. And he really does feel that he needs more time to come back to 47, although he could fight at a catchweight, and to get ready for a fighter like Floyd Mayweather.
Well, Mayweather is the best, as we saw a year ago when he annihilated Arturo Gatti in this building. And Emmanuel Stewart, that brings us back to the subject of Vargas, and the question becomes, was Fernando Vargas, at the end of the day, pretty much like Arturo Gatti? a passionate, extremely popular fighter who simply wasn't good enough to beat the best?
I would say a little different, maybe, you know, but because Gatti has fought the best, and he's different. It's not going to be ever another Arturo Gatti. And you must remember, Arturo Gatti in some of his fights where he was brutally beaten, hurt, knocked down, he actually came back and knocked guys down the very same round. And when you look at Vargas, when Vargas hits the floor, he hits the floor often head first. I don't think he's recuperated and will never be the same from those damaging blows that he's been taking to the head as compared to Gatti, because Gatti still fights with the same rhythm, the same speed that he's always fought at, even after being in all those wars where you can see the effects on Fernando Vargas. He moves a lot slower nowadays.
Over the years, Fernando Vargas has meant a great deal to us here at HBO. He was so precocious. He was 22 years old and an unbeaten fighter the night that he went into the ring against Felix Trinidad. But has any good fighter ever been more susceptible to the left hook? Fernando Vargas down 5 times against Trinidad, all of them fashioned off of Trinidad's great left hook. Oscar De La Hoya ruined him with a left hook, and then Mosley last week. So Fernando, if you're watching tonight, we wish you the best. We hope you will consider retirement from the ring, and whatever you do, watch out for the left hooks. Now let's look ahead to some upcoming boxing you'll want to mark onto your calendar. July 29, it's Boxing After Dark, featuring. Now we are ready to set the stage for the main event here in packed Boardwalk Hall as the darling of the house, Arturo Gatti, gets ready to take on Carlos Baldomir. Larry, after so many years laboring in almost complete obscurity, fighting on various continents in 8 different countries, Carlos Baldomir comes out of nowhere seemingly to win the welterweight championship against Zab Judah. Who is he? What kind of a fighter is he?
Born in Santa Fe, Argentina, the hometown of Carlos Monzon, who at that time was beginning a 7-year run as the middleweight champion, inspired by Monzon to become a fighter, and now Monzon's trainer is part of his team. But for a long while, he was a journeyman who had to sell mops in the street to earn a living so that he could continue to fight. Now he is a world champion. He is making $1 million here tonight, and he hasn't lost a fight in his last 20. A fighter's story.
Yep, indeed. And of course, if Baldomir hit the lottery by beating Judah and winning the welterweight championship, Gatti hits the lottery fairly frequently, Manny, because of his great popularity. He gets wiped out by Mayweather a year ago. They both move up to welterweight, and now Gatti fights for the welterweight championship. He'll be a relatively small welterweight. Can he succeed in this division?
That's a good question. You know, Gatti has fought successfully in a lot of brutal fights at 130 pounds, 135 pounds, 140 pounds. Now, the final stage of his career, he's fighting as a welterweight. I don't think he has a long career as a welterweight. I mean, he may struggle and have a tough time tonight. He may have a scuffle because even though he now is weighing in as a welterweight and can make the weight, I don't know how successful he's going to be dealing with the physical opponents that he's fighting, because he's going to be hitting guys who will be able to absorb the punches a lot better. And Baldomir, even though he may not be a super fast and talented fighter, is still a strong, legitimate welterweight. And it's going to be very interesting. I last week told Larry I picked the fight to go to Gatti very easy. I'm a little skeptical now. I think it's going to be a fight that I would favor Gatti, but I'm a little nervous about it right now.
Well, because we both met Carlos Baldomir yesterday and saw what a relaxed, confident, squared-away competitor he seems to be. But looking back at Gatti, ever since the annihilation loss at the hands of Mayweather last year, the project for Gatti and his physical trainer, Teddy Cruz, has been to build a welterweight body. Let's see how they undertook that project in a gym in Florida. Floyd Mayweather promised he would humiliate Arturo Gatti before his fans.
I'm stopping it, Arturo. I'm stopping it.
The reconstruction of Arturo Gatti has mostly been credited to trainer Buddy McGirt. But it's Gatti's strength and conditioning coach, Teddy Cruz, who has resculpted Arturo's body in the mold of a welterweight.
He restricted his body for so long, through so many years, that now you're going to see the real potential that Arturo's body has.
After campaigning at 140 pounds for the past 6 years, Gatti's reincarnation at 147 was welcome to all.
During the training to get ready for 140, it was a nightmare.
It was a big problem because I wasn't feeling good, I didn't look good, and everybody was worried around me, and I could sense the vibration, not a good one. What else?
Arturo can eat at a 147, doesn't have to worry about how much carb intake. He feels a lot better physically, mentally, stronger.
And we're gonna grill chicken tonight. That's what I eat pretty much every night. I'm surprised I don't have feathers on me.
As usual, Gatti's training camp lasted 3 months for this fight. First, 8 weeks of conditioning and weight loss, then 4 weeks of boxing training. Cruz was there every step of the way.
I'm pretty much available when I'm down in camp for Arturo 24/7. If he wants to wake up at 3 in the morning and go to the gym, we have the keys to a private gym that we can go to. That was a combination of a little strength training with endurance for the legs. We started off with the squat. Over here, tossing the medicine ball is for his hand-eye coordination plus speed. And then on the ladder, going lateral push-ups, he was working on his explosive hand speed.
My strength increased so much since I've been with Teddy. I punch way harder now than I ever did. And it definitely shows a lot. I'm more explosive.
And now he staggers him with the right hand. I believe he breaks up the fight. And once again, the hero rises.
Everything is based around the boxing. You know, I don't try to outdo the buddy's workout. I'll try to complement it. Everything from all cardiovascular exercises to all types of weight training, resistance training, to swimming.
I couldn't swim for shit. I used to swim after the pool and start panicking. And now I can swim like 20 laps, 30 laps, nonstop. It's the same thing like sprinting, just you work in the upper body. You can't tell I'm not a swimmer.
Whether in the pool or in the gym, Gatti's training seems top-notch. But it wasn't always that way. Earlier in his career, Arturo's propensity for nightlife compromised his conditioning.
Motivation-wise with my old trainer I wasn't there no more. I didn't feel like doing nothing. I used to train and play at the same time, and you can't do that. No athlete can do that.
His father told him years ago when he was growing up listen, you can't be a fighter and a rock star. You got to be one or the other. You can't live both lives.
And I realized that that's basically pretty much the only thing I know how to do is fight. And I figured out that what I was doing was not working.
Today's rebuilt version of Arturo Gatti is vastly different from that of a decade ago. That Gatti thought, win or lose, he would fight forever.
I definitely enjoy what I do, my training. I love my work, and I'm more dedicated. I'm smarter, wiser.
He's changed a lot. He's aware of that this is it. He's gonna do it and finish off strong. He's not taking anything for granted.
Now Arturo Gatti begins to come toward the ring, and once again the familiar roar will greet him as he emerges into Boardwalk Hall. Gatti country.
Living proof that if you keep swinging, good things will happen. He may have seemed lucky that Baldomir won the welterweight championship from Judah and decided that his best chance to keep it and to make money was to fight him. But a combination of his popularity and his punch and his being one of the great drama kings of recent memory got him here.
Larry, is there any chance that Shane Mosley is holding off on committing to a fight with Floyd Mayweather because he might want to fight Gatti for the welterweight championship if Arturo can win tonight?
Well, Gatti is more or less committed to wanting to fight Cotto if he wins tonight.
Might there not be more money in a Mosley fight?
I think he thinks the same way Baldomir thinks, that he can make a lot of money and have a good chance to beat Cotto.
That was interesting. He thought that it would be maybe more money and more of attraction in Cotto than fighting Ricky Hatton, which I disagree, but that's his thought pattern. He thinks that Cotto is a bigger attraction than Ricky Hatton is.
Well, he also likes the fact that Cotto fights at a slower pace, and Hatton, of course, fights 180 seconds of every round at maximum intensity. There's the look at Carlos Baldomir's record since 1999, when in a fight against Joshua Clottey, he says he found himself and suddenly began to fight for his own prestige and for a higher ranking in the sport rather than just for money. Ever since that time, an unbeaten fighter.
You know, watching both of these guys tonight, it looks like two old-time fighters. Look like much like when we had Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti fighting. It look like they're about 30 years behind times.
Well, he told us that a decade ago he watched Arturo Gatti in wonder, never imagining or dreaming that they could fight. Now he says that dream or non-dream is coming true, but he believes that Gatti is not the fighter he was when he saw him a decade ago.
And a decade ago, of course, Baldomir had never been outside of Argentina. He hadn't fought in Denmark, South Africa, Italy, England, Germany, Mexico, the United States, back to Germany, back to England, over and over in various different countries, finding his way up the ladder until he got the shot against Zab Judah in Madison Square Garden. Almost no one took him seriously as an opponent that night.
He was a 10-1 underdog that night. He's an 8-5 underdog tonight, which is just a reflection in Gatti's popularity.
Tale of the tape now for Carlos Baldomir against Arturo Gatti. And you're going to see that both fighters are in their middle 30s. There is a 1-year age advantage on the tail of the tape, and it belongs to Arturo Gatti. Height advantage of 1 inch for Gatti, arm length measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. Gatti's arms 1.5 inches longer as we measured them. They both weighed in at 147 pounds and both have significantly rehydrated, we suspect, overnight. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Carlos Baldomir Arturo Gatti fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. In case the cut is caused by an accidental headbutt, we go to the scorecards after 4 rounds have been completed, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim.
You never know when it's going to be Arturo Gatti's last performance here in Boardwalk Hall. There isn't an empty seat to be found anywhere. Michael Buffer, pre-fight introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Atlantic City's famous Boardwalk Hall, where tonight, by way of Caesars Atlantic City, main events in association with Saquon Ringside Promotions are proud to present the featured bout of the evening, 12 rounds of boxing for the welterweight championship of the world. Sanctioned by the WBC and sponsored by Nemiroff. This contest is governed by the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board Boxing Commissioner Larry Hazard Sr., Chairman Tony Orlando. At ringside, the 3 judges who will be scoring this contest on the 10-point system, Tommy Kazmarek, Hubert Min, and John Stewart. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Wayne Hedgepeth. And now, for the thousands in attendance, standing room only, sold out Atlantic City's Boardwalk Hall, and the millions watching around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Fighting out of the red corner, wearing white, official weight, 147 pounds. Professional record, 40 victories, including 31 knockouts, with 7 defeats. From Jersey City, New Jersey, the former junior lightweight world champion, former light welterweight world champion, and current IBA welterweight champion of the world, the ultimate blood and guts warrior, Arturo Thunder Gatti. And his opponent in the blue corner, wearing white and blue, official weight 147 pounds. Professional record, 42 victories, including 12 knockouts, with 9 defeats and 6 draws. Damas y caballeros de Santa Fe, Argentina, the reigning and defending linear and true welterweight champion of the world, Carlos Tata Baldomir.
All right, you fighters, receive your instructions in the dressing room. Obey my commands at all times, and above all, protect yourself at all times. Good luck to you. Touch them up.
Is Baldomir a one-fight wonder?
Well,
and Gatti beat Gatti. He certainly looks as big, or even bigger than Baldomir, against a true, strong welterweight.
Well, the one thing I think tonight, Gatti, for the first time probably that I've saw him in the career, I say he's the faster fighter, which is going to be very interesting. I don't think that Baldomir has the speed nor the experience in these super tight fights to compete with Gatti.
Baldomir clearly the larger man. Gatti might have had a quickness advantage earlier this year against Thomas Damgaard as well. Generally speaking, and Emmanuel, you and I both made this point a week ago, when Arturo Gatti fights against hard physical fighters who can brawl just as well as he does, he tends to box. And he told us absolutely yesterday, I'll be the boxer in this fight. I'll use my jab. I'll try to create distance in the ring when I can. But sooner or later, I'm going to have to stand my ground. That's what the crowd is here for.
Well, also, Jim, you was able to make him say, which he was trying to avoid, that he's going to do a little bit of everything. He's always going to resort back to slugging at a certain point. But he said we'll see a little bit of everything tonight.
There's one little new thing from Gatti as he hooks off the jab, but then takes a right hand from Baldomir that backs him up. Carlos Baldomir is not a big puncher, but he's a hard fighter.
But also he takes a good punch, and that's a big factor too.
Indeed. Observers in the gym say you could hit him in the head with a sledgehammer, and you're not going to hurt him. If you're going to hurt Carlos at all, you'd better slow him down to the body. Gatti turns to a southpaw stance, then switches back to conventional and fires the jab. Uppercut from Gatti. One of his strategies, try to get Baldomir to fall onto an uppercut.
And both guys are changing right hands, but it seems like Baldomir has a pretty steady chin, and Gatti is a good puncher. But I'm just concerned right now how the fight's going to shape up, because I think it's going to end up being a slugging match, because Baldomir takes a good punch and Gatti sees that he can hit him, so I think Gatti's going to start fighting and slugging a lot sooner than he said he would.
Gatti partially blocked both of Baldomir's right hands. Earlier in the sequence just before that, Gatti landed an excellent left hook inside. One thing to watch for with Gatti, he has damaged his right hand in 5 of his last 6 fights. Sometimes breaking it, sometimes simply mashing it up so badly that it's just as bad as a break. We'll see how long the right hand lasts tonight before there's damage. Good left hook inside again by Gatti. He's quicker here in the first round than Baldomir, and their heads come together, but without any cut.
Watch your head, watch your head.
Referee Wayne Hedgebeth states the obvious after they bang each other forehead to forehead.
We can already see that Gatti's landed punches that would have had a lot more effect on a junior welterweight, but they have not been that effective on Baldomir because of the physical size.
Body punch by Baldomir, good left hook over the top by Gatti.
Baldomir's face is already reddened on the right side.
Baldomir drives Gatti back into the ropes. Nothing sharp there, nothing visibly effective, just hard fighting and coming forward aggressively by Baldomir.
Get into no slugfest with him, okay? Let him do round, don't get no slugfest. That's what he wants. Okay, what he's doing, he's throwing the right hand slow to try to get you to bait you into it. All right? Now don't reach with the hook to the body. Find your rhythm.
And when we go to Carlos Baldomir's corner where they speak Spanish, our interpreter is Jerry Olaya.
Your head, he's coming in with the left. Turn to the same side. Take it easy, take it. Don't get worried, take it easy. There's nothing happening. Don't worry about it. Relax.
Right here, you see the two guys colliding with headbutts, with the heads coming together. And you may see more of this simply because of the styles of the two guys.
CompuBox numbers in round one relatively even. Baldomir given credit for landing 23 out of 57, Gatti 18 out of 61. Harold Letterman gives the first round to Gatti, although CompuBox numbers sort of preferred Baldomir, who landed 17 of 42 power shots. Gatti with the showier stuff, particularly 2 or 3 very well-spaced left hooks. Gatti quick with the jab and gets away before Baldomir can return. Hard right hand over the top by Baldomir. Gatti throwing twice before moving away. As they trade jabs, it's Baldomir who has the better range right at this moment. There's a hard right hand by Baldomir that backs Gatti off.
Baldomir is getting up on his toes, doing something I've never saw him do, moving and punching from a rhythm, which seems to be working very well for him. You know, he's similar to a lot of the recent fighters from Argentina in recent years. Juan, Roldan, Victor Galindez, they were all physically very strong fighters from Argentina.
Santa Fe is a city of about 350,000 in the Pampas, the famed cattle ranching section of Argentina. Go all the way back to Luis Angel Firpo, who fought Jack Dempsey in a legendary fight in Madison Square Garden and was called the Wild Bull of the Pampas. That's where fighters have come from.
Most all of the guys have been physical outside of the
right hand by Baldomir. And he bolos the right hand as if to say, I'm going to hit you with it all night.
All right, let him out.
His hands do appear to be a little bit quicker.
Now Gatti with the left hand inside. Crowd responds as he knocks Baldomir back.
Is that a welt under the left eye of Gatti?
It's both guys that got welt. I think the right eye of Baldomir and the left eye, but Gatti has a history of swelling up and cutting up anyway.
Well, Gatti used to swell and or cut when walking to the ring. His skin has been better in recent years as his conditioning has improved.
Yeah, he's been doing more, busting up his hands and his body more so than his face in recent fights.
Gatti in the southpaw stance, threw a right hand and then fired a wide swinging left. Now Wayne Hedgepeth worries again about headbutts and separates the fighters, and they go back to boxing. Gatti has switched southpaw 2 or 3 times. That last sequence was the first time in which he's done anything offensive out of that stance.
The fight may not be a clinic, but it's a little too clinical at the moment.
He's trying to get your rhythm. Okay, look here, with the jab, you're down here. Don't reach up for the head. Your leg's a little too wide, okay, baby? Now, you see those hooks you're throwing to the head? Yeah. Throw them to the body, okay? You're winging the hooks really hard to the head. Okay, don't try so hard. But those same hooks, wing them downstairs to the body, baby, that's all. And keep touching with that right hand to the body. You know he's trying to get that right hand over your jab.
Yeah, he did.
So you gotta keep the leg. That's all right, baby, all right? You see what he's trying to do now, okay? So circle to your right. Circle to
Right here, you can see Baldomir's landing right hands. And in fact, they're having much better exchanges than I ever expected. And here comes another right hand by Baldomir.
Again, Carlos Baldomir, not a hard puncher, but a hard fighter. Stays in, comes forward, takes punishment, keeps dealing it out. Jab numbers through the second round. Baldomir 16 out of 38, Gatti 10 out of 59. Gatti throwing the jab more frequently, Baldomir landing it more consistently, according to CompuBox. Those jabs blocked.
Emmanuel, do you think that Gatti's doing the right thing simply by trying to outbox Baldomir?
I think he's mixing up his boxing and his punching. The biggest surprise, I think, is what you had said earlier last week, where that Baldomir is physically a stronger guy, and he's been able to absorb the punches from Gatti better than anyone I think Gatti has fought in the past. Gatti's landed some great punches, but they haven't had the effect that he had when he was landing with those 140-pound guys.
And Baldomir hits him with a right-hand flush on the inside. One of the better punches of the night for Baldomir. Gatti seems bedeviled at this moment by Baldomir's right hand, and he takes a left hook as he worries about how to stay away from the right hand.
Right, Jim. Baldomir seems to have felt a home for the right hand. He's landing right hands consistently, and it seems like Gatti has not found any particular defense for it. Rolling his shoulders, trying to dance out of the way. He's just getting hit with those right hands.
Another right hand by Baldomir. Gatti either needs to keep his left hand up or counter better, and there's a good left hook by Arturo Gatti. And another combination by Gatti in return from Baldomir. When Gatti stands in and trades and counters with Baldomir, his hands are faster. But Baldomir's beating him to the punch from the outside.
But you can really see the difference in Gatti fighting a welterweight. You can really see it as each round goes on now. He's landed a lot of punches like he did in the past, but not had the results that he had from in the past.
Low blow by Baldomir landed on Gatti's cup. Wayne Hedgepeth was blocked on the other side. Left hook upstairs from Baldomir as Gatti tries the same from his side. A little bit frustrating for Arturo Gatti now as we come down the stretch in round 3. And Baldomir lands 4 punches in a row. Baldomir smiling now at the ease with which he's dropping his right hand on Gatti.
Yes, and also that he's been able to absorb the blows from Gatti.
Left hook to the body by Baldomir. And you saw him holding his gloves against his ribcage as if to say, come on, hit me in the body. I'm perfectly willing to trade there with you. They jab each other in the middle of the ring. Baldomir with another right hand, and now Gatti lands a right as Baldomir tries to break away. Another right hand by Baldomir, and another. Gatti counters with a left, gets rocked with a right. Baldomir landing 2 to Gatti's 1, and down the stretch of the round, it was Baldomir who won the exchange.
Not only one exchange, seemed like he's turned the whole momentum of the fight, and it looks like it's going to be pretty tough for Gatti the rest of the night.
Don't get caught up in the crowd. Come on, champ, you're getting caught up in the crowd, baby. No good. You got to box this guy, okay? Don't stand inside. All right?
Very well done. Very well done. That's it. Where's the water? Where's the water? That's it. That's how we're going to win. That's how we're going to win.
The question here is whether Gatti is a good enough boxer to really handle Baldomir.
The answer to me, no. And he's still got the warrior in him, and he's going to fight more. But the weight difference is a big factor. And I'm looking at the crowd, they're in total disbelief that they can see someone standing there punch for punch with Arturo like this and having the better of the exchanges.
Harold, how do you have it through 3?
Okay, Jim, 2 rounds to 1, 29-28, Carlos Baldomir. Jim, I gotta tell you something. I don't know who said Arturo Gatti was gonna box. This is the old Arturo Gatti. This fight is being fought on a dime in the middle of the ring, no clinches at all, and they're just whacking each other with power shots. And it's a very easy fight to score. Just watch it very carefully, just like there. See who's landing the greatest shots, and that's who's winning the round.
And the blood is beginning to spurt from below Arturo Gatti's right eye. So Gatti's right eye has already been opened underneath. by Baldomir's punching, and Baldomir smiles as he lands another big right-hand shot across the top. CompuBox numbers in round 3 found Baldomir landing 19 power shots in the last minute of the round. That's a festival.
Last year, I was out in Los Angeles training with my fighters, and I was fortunate to be in the gym with Baldomir for about 2 weeks. And the guy trains, he boxes 13 and 14 rounds sometimes a day. He's in excellent condition.
Again, the right hand lands for Baldomir. Fighting very confidently. What he's seen in the first 3 rounds clearly convinces Baldomir that he has the measure of Arturo Gatti. Looking at this, you remember some of Gatti's great comebacks throughout his career. He was being trimmed by Gabriel Ruelas, but he landed a miracle left hook.
Gatti's always a dangerous fighter. He's a tremendous puncher. He turns his punches all the way through, and he's got the warrior heart, so you can never relax with him.
The comeback against Wilson Rodriguez. Various comebacks in his fights with Ivan Robinson and Angel Manfredi. Though he wasn't able to win, he constantly kept coming forward. Gatti is going to need a rally here tonight, as this fight is going Baldomir's way early.
Fight people who watched him in the gym in Los Angeles told me you can't hurt him in the head. You might be able to hurt him in the body.
You're talking about Baldomir.
Yes, and Gatti has not delivered anything substantial to the body in this fight.
And Gatti can punch to the body and to the head.
Well, we watched Arturo Gatti knock out both Jesse James Leija and Leonard Doreen with body punches. Well, you know that he can do damage there, at least against smaller fighters.
You saw him land one of his best punches of the fight, a right hand right on the chin of Baldomir, right in the rope, and Baldomir come right back and took control of the fight right away.
Gatti still headhunting.
Arturo, you're not using your jab, baby. You just walk.
Carlitos, you got him. You got him. Are you okay? Good, good, good. You see, he's cut. He's cut. He's being hit a lot. He's coming to brawl. That's great for you. Throw the right. Remember that.
All right, come on, champ. How we feeling? Good. Okay, give me some combinations now. Okay, don't let this guy steal the show from you. Get out there, work the jab, head feints.
This may be Gatti's best punch of the entire fight. You can't get a better punch than that, hardly. And even after landing that type of a blow, watch, you see right away Baldomir came right back again.
CompuBox numbers in 4. Baldomir, 29 of 48 power shots, 60%. Gatti, 10 out of 22. Harold Letterman gave the first round to Arturo Gatti. It was a very close round. It's not inconceivable that on some official scorecards, Baldomir might be up 4 rounds to none. Good left jab by Gatti. And you heard Buddy McGirt begging Arturo to start throwing the jab, start boxing, quit brawling. You heard the people in Baldomir's corner, trainer Jose Lemos saying, hey, he's brawling with you, that's great. He couldn't have asked for better.
Gatti's boxing, but he's boxing flat-footed. If Gatti would start using his footwork and moving around the ring, I think he would have better success, because Baldomir is slow on his feet. He walks in, plodding, but Gatti's boxing, but he's sitting right there in front of him instead of moving around and making him use his feet more.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean, fellas.
Baldomir described his style
Good right hand by Arturo.
as intelligent aggression, and I think that's an apt description.
These guys are throwing some tremendous bombs. I'm just waiting to see who's going to give in. Somebody's going to have to give in. There's solid punches with full force from both guys.
Well, Baldomir may not knock Gatti out, but he's busting him up, and he's hitting him more than he's getting hit.
He's hitting Gatti with
Gatti's
the right
hurt.
hand.
Gatti's hurt.
And
Gatti is hurt.
Badly hurt by that last right hand. Welterweights are bigger. Arturo Gatti is finding out. Big left hook by Gatti. Can't back Baldomir off. Baldomir keeps coming.
Arturo Gatti fights.
Gatti tipping down on the ropes, trying to gain leverage for a big left hook. Baldomir just keeps strafing him with the right hand. Gatti seems to have gotten some of his legs back after having been badly wobbled 30 seconds ago. Swinging for the fences, Arturo Gatti. It's not going to help. He needs to listen to Buddy McGirt. He needs to box.
You know, and Gatti is not just trying to survive. He's still trying to knock Baldomir out in the same round when he's out on his feet.
Yeah, there was a good
Good left hook to the body and a left hook upstairs by Gatti. Baldomir walks right through it. Hard right hand by Baldomir. Landed flush. Gatti taking shots and standing in front of the Argentine. Big left hook to the body by Gatti, but he backs off as the blood begins to flow inside his right eye. Arturo Gatti cannot get out of the way of Carlos Baldomir's power shots.
And Baldomir can take Gatti's power shot, but he does have to.
That's the overall. Gatti is landing power shots flush. Baldomir is walking through them. The crowd loves the action, but Arturo's getting busted up.
Carlos, that's great. Breathe deeply. Breathe deeply. Breathe deeply. All right, drink. Nice, Carlos. Nice, Carlos. Close your eyes.
Hey, let's go back to the body with him. Smart, man. Let's go, champ. You taking too many right hands, no good. Okay, don't catch them shots. Get up under them or move your legs. Stick your legs out. Take a nice deep breath, baby. Come on, champ.
Right here, you see Gatti get hit with a right hand that really hurt him. It's like a delayed reaction, and you could see the effects of it. And instead of trying to survive, as soon as he got himself together, he started throwing punches right back.
Baldomir is virtually taking the crowd out of the fight.
In the fifth round by CompuBox County, landed 51 of 79 power shots. Gatti didn't do too badly, 21 out of 38. But he's simply getting strafed at will by Carlos Baldomir. And Gatti throws a few jabs, but also tries to land a right-hand haymaker. Across the ring, veteran boxers, the very great Pernell Whitaker, now retired, Paulie Malignaggi, quite active, are standing and yelling at Arturo between rounds, trying to get him to box the way they would. But Arturo Gatti has a brawler's heart. And Baldomir is taking advantage of that.
He's taking advantage of it. He's won the crowd over for the most part. And
now
body shot.
Gatti backed away, holding his right hand. I believe the right hand has just been hurt for the first time in the fight. It seemed to be hurt while he was trying to block a Baldomir body shot. And let's see if Arturo tries to throw the right hand. Generally speaking, once it's hurt, he goes a minute or two without throwing it and then eventually goes back to it. It may well be broken right now. You can see that he's holding his hand awkwardly in the glove.
Baldomir predicted that he would knock Gatti out in this round.
Gatti can't throw his right hand. He turns southpaw, hoping to set up a left, and throws the right hand again. There it is. Arturo Gatti goes 30 seconds or so without throwing the right hand because he hurt it, and then the courage returns, and the fighter is back. Gatti continues to land flush shots, and Baldomir shrugs them off as if to say, hey, welcome to the welterweight division.
Gatti's landed some tremendous shots in this fight. I mean, shots that would have knocked out the average junior welterweight.
Sometimes difficult for the layman to understand how 7 pounds can make such a giant difference.
Yeah, you know, Baldomir was saying that he normally walks around sometimes up to 187 pounds.
And indeed was over 187 when he prepared for, or began preparations for this fight. 12 weeks of training gets him down from 187 or 190 down to 147. He says he hates it. It's agony. It's good for him. It puts him in the right mood for the fight.
But you know, still in a fight with Gatti, you can never relax. As Arturo Gatti not only keeps fighting, but he punches with KO power even late in the fights, where a lot of guys lose a knockout strength like Mike Tyson in late rounds. Gatti is still dangerous all the way to the very end.
What happened to your arm? Is it all right?
Yeah.
I got it, babe. Okay, champ, listen. Much better round this round now. Stop winging so high to the head. Bring him downstairs. Give him more combinations. Just starting to put it together now, okay? Keep that head moving. Get up under them shots and step around them, okay, baby? Yeah. All right, let's go now. Let's start using that jab. Stay to the body with that hook in that right hand. Don't worry about his head, okay? Don't worry about his head, baby. We still got time to go. But don't sit there and take no shots, okay? He's trying to land that right hand.
Right here, you know, you see Baldomir land the left hook. Seemed like it was a left hook to the body there. I didn't see any damage to Gatti's right hand that could have caused any damage.
He held his wrist. The punch landed on the wrist.
CompuBox numbers in the 6th round. Baldomir 22 out of 46, his lowest output of the fight. Gatti 17 out of 50. Harold, how do you have the fight scored through 6?
I'll get you 5 rounds to 1, 59-55, Carlos Baldomir. I tell you, I never thought Arturo Gatti wouldn't box. It's absolutely a slugging match. Baldomir landing the better power shots. 5-1, Baldomir.
So Gatti's in trouble on the scorecards. He seems to be in trouble in terms of his capacity to knock a larger man out. He's bleeding from underneath the right eye. His right hand may be broken. I guess he's got him right where he wants him, right?
No, this is not the type of a guy to have anything broken or hurting with like Baldomir. But if Gatti would just move and box and take advantage of his boxing skills and his legs, he still could get back into this fight, but he cannot do it standing in one spot.
For Gatti's trainer, Buddy McGirt, one of the most celebrated trainers in the sport, he may still be emotionally trying to get over his last visit to Boardwalk Hall, June 10, when his fighter Antonio Tarver was taken apart by the very great Bernard Hopkins. This could be another frustrating loss for Buddy McGirt.
But Buddy, who was a very great boxer himself, a good skill for boxing, he knows that Arturo's key to victory in this fight is boxing.
Watch your head. Watch your head.
But when a man with a brawler's heart goes in against a brawler and the brawler is beating him, it's hard to get him to box.
I agree with you 100%, Jim.
Yeah, but right now, Baldomir just looks like the better fighter. He's fighting in smart, fighting in strong, and a big right hand that he just landed there.
Flush on the chin.
Steps back, doesn't get caught with too much, and whatever he gets caught with, he can handle.
And Gatti still has not picked up any defense for the right hand. He's basically, for the most part, losing the fight off of one punch for the most part. Not like he's getting hit with jabs or with a lot of body punches or hooks. It's primarily a consistent right hands.
Gatti smiles after having careened into the ropes and bounced off. A little showbiz there. Cutman Joe Souza has done a good job with the cut under the right eye of Arturo Gatti and has stopped the bleeding for now.
In a long time since he came off the ropes, both figuratively and literally, to land one punch that could change a fight.
Gatti's boxing, very intelligent fight right from. If he would just keep working his jab and find some way of counter-punching Baldomir's right hands, he could win this fight.
Well, that was probably the smartest round that Arturo Gatti has fought since the beginning of the fight, but even at that, he might not have won it.
Real nice. Close your eyes. Drink, open your mouth, drink. Doing real good. But bend your waist, and that way you won't be so tired. Move your waist, bend your waist. Everything's going well, Carlos. Bend your waist and hit, bend your waist and hit. Throw an upper.
It's because he knows he can't outspeed you. So you got to feint him. You got to lure him into it, baby. All right, play chess with him. All right. But once he gets close, get your combinations off and get out of there. Okay? All right, baby.
8th round. Stay in your corner. 8th round.
I don't know that Buddy McGirt is describing a fight that
All right, watch your hands. Watch
Gatti
your hands.
is capable of fighting.
Well, Haymaker left hook attempted by Gatti there.
Gatti's throwing powerful right hands again. If he would just keep working his jab and learn some counter punch to avoid getting hit with the right hands, but I don't think that's going to happen tonight because he's getting hit with that same punch over and over and over. If he would take that away, it would be a totally different fight.
How could he take away Baldomir's right hand, which is landing more or less
by
at will?
rolling the shoulder and letting him miss it, coming back with a right uppercut. Because he hits it, all he has to do, he rolls the shoulder and come back with a counter uppercut, and it would land.
Not a knockdown. Gatti simply rolled over by Baldomir's shoulder. Baldomir walks to the other side and waits. Hedgepath brings them back together. They touch gloves.
That was the best move Gatti's made all night.
Baldomir's very conscious of wanting to land a left hook. He would probably do better to stick to the jab because whenever he throws his left hook, Baldomir immediately counters with the right and lands it.
Stop punching. Keep it clean.
Good jab by Baldomir. Gatti trying to get at Baldomir's body with a left hook.
That's a good move, right? All he has to do is just make Baldomir miss the right hand. That's the only thing he's having.
Now, if he can mix in the jab behind some of that kind of defense, he could begin to get a foothold in the fight.
Wishful thinking, guys.
Got to try something. Although I am beginning to think of the potential attraction of a trip to Argentina, a fight in Buenos Aires. Sounds glamorous, doesn't it?
This crowd is sitting here like it's at a funeral.
And a funeral of some sort it might be.
Gatti's having a good round this round.
Break. All right, stop punching.
Blood is flowing from under Gatti's right eye, but he's beginning to box better, use his jab just a little bit more liberally. Baldomir tries to re-impress the right hand on him. Another right hand by Baldomir. Gatti with a flurry, and Hedgepath is going to call that a slip, although there was contact on both sides prior to Gatti going down. They crossed their feet, I assume, and Hedgepath ruled that Gatti had tripped over Baldomir's feet. Low blow by Baldomir. And Baldomir's quite apologetic about the low blow before the referee even gets there. Gatti's walking away and Baldomir's patting him on the shoulder as if to say, I'm sorry about that. You can see that the Argentine fighter is a sportsman.
This fight is altogether too polite.
Now you warming
for my
up now, champ.
taste.
Okay, look here, baby. Just like now, listen. Keep that left hand out there. Keep marinating with that left hand, okay? Okay? Feints, get your combinations off and get out. Don't stand that way for no receipt. Okay, baby? When you get on the ropes, combinations and get out. See, the feints will work. Keep feinting, keep them reaching. Counter and get out.
No hay necesidad de trasladarse tanto cuando uno hace cintura.
Carlitos, don't worry about it. Just bend a little bit and throw a punch. And look for the liver. Look for the liver. That's the killer.
Here you can see Baldomir throwing punches and Gatti loses his balance. You can see his right leg kind of spent from underneath first. And the referee's call, I think, was a good call. I don't think it was a legitimate knockdown.
I agree. Combi box numbers in the 8th round. Baldomir 18 out of 49. Gatti only threw 36 punches in that round. That's his low output of the fight. So in order to avoid more of Baldomir's punches, Gatti had to throw fewer himself. That makes the equation for winning rounds a little bit tougher. Once again, Gatti discovers he can land flush with a good shot, and Baldomir walks right through it.
Now, what is that?
Point has been made over and over, and Gatti is apparently flexing his legs against the bottom rope. Good body shot by Baldomir. Gatti trying to flurry to the body himself. Gatti jabs upstairs. Baldomir hits him with a left hook.
Watch your footing,
and then a couple
Arturo.
of more little lefts. Baldomir is brilliant at simply putting his hands on you in close quarters. Not trying to land anything big, but landing 3-4 punches before he moves away.
Watching some of the people over there, that's the supporters and investors in Baldomir, they are so nervous because even though Baldomir is winning, Gatti has such a history of coming back and knocking out guys in the late rounds that they don't feel that comfortable still at this stage.
They're also fighting in Gatti's backyard, Gatti's fans, and judges don't wear earplugs.
Well, having not been officially knocked down, if Gatti would get to boxing and still avoid getting hit with the right hands, he could still possibly win this fight. But the right hands is the only problem he's having. He's not getting hit with anything else. So if he just box and stay away from the right hands, he could still possibly win a close decision.
I think the only thing that's going to win the fight for Gatti is he's got to brawl with him, got to try to hurt him.
Too strong.
And he is hurt right now.
A sledgehammer would be useful. That he doesn't have. Baldomir worrying and wailing away. Gatti's mouthpiece comes out. Arturo's ready to trade now. Trying to duck away from Baldomir's punches. Can't find room. Goes to the body. Baldomir won't move. Gatti needs to land one big shot, and he's trying to do it, but he can't get Baldomir off his chest. And now Baldomir throws the punches and lands his own. Big left hook by Gatti. Baldomir didn't feel it. Another big shot, and this time Arturo Gatti is ruined. Absolutely ruined by a Baldomir left hook.
6.
Baldomir just physically
Are
too
we
strong.
seeing the last
Can you continue?
of
Can you continue?
Arturo Gatti?
Of course he wants to continue, but how much does he have left? That was a big left hook shot, and Arturo's not throwing, and that'll do it.
It wasn't his heart that gave out, it was his body.
Larry, you was right last week when you said that Baldomir was physically, you felt too strong for him.
Classic case of a bigger, stronger man simply dominating the fight because of his ability to take greater punishment while dealing out significant punishment of his own.
And we have a new major factor in the welterweight division, too.
Because he's not just a pedestrian.
That's right.
Because he's not just a journeyman who got lucky.
And he's an action fighter.
Because the 9 losses and 6 draws on his record don't seem to mean a lot right now, do they?
Nope, he seems to love fighting over here in America and fighting people in their favorite hometowns.
Carlos Baldomir closed the show, landing 40 of 80 power shots in the 9th round en route to the final destruction of Arturo Gatti. Here are 2 angles of knockdown number 1, Emmanuel, and unless I miss my guess, it is a left hook that is going to seal the deal. Boom.
Oh, just so many
Just
blows.
a massive shot. Here's another look. And I'll tell you what, Shane Mosley's left hook against Fernando Vargas had nothing on this.
Tremendous punch. You know, he was landing
guy who's
so
not a big
many,
puncher.
so many punches, but he was ready for this fight.
Now, this was an accumulation of punishment, and by this point, the very brave Arturo Gatti simply had nothing left as his body crumpled in a heap before the final Baldomir assault. One more look at the conclusion. And silence in Boardwalk Hall as the assembled Gatti cult tries to accommodate what they've just seen. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the official particulars on the KO.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we go to the official time, a round of applause for the champion who has given us so many thrills here in Atlantic City and around the world, Arturo Gatti. The official time, 2 minutes, 50 seconds, round number 9. The winner and still WBC welterweight champion of the world, Carlos Tata Baldomir.
a handful, maybe 4 or 5, Argentine flags waving scattered off in the distance here in Boardwalk Hall. Those are the happy people. Everyone else here, at least from a fan perspective, is sad. CompuBox numbers in the fight. Baldomir landed 106 more blows, threw 117 more punches, landed at a higher connect percentage. The power punch numbers are probably even more one-sided in Baldomir's favor. He lands nearly twice as many as Gatti, throws nearly twice as many as Gatti, lands at exactly the same connect percentage. Arturo Gatti discovered tonight what the welterweight division was all about. He landed flush shots, right crosses and left hooks, and they did no damage whatsoever to a bigger, stronger man than anyone he's ever fought. Let's stand by now with Larry Merchant and the champion of the division, Carlos Baldomir.
Thank you, Jim. Congratulations, Carlos.
Gracias.
Did you know going in that you were just too strong for Gatti?
¿Sabías entrando al pleito que eras más fuerte que Gatti?
Sí, ya lo había dicho anteriormente y ya me daba cuenta en el primero o segundo round que yo era más fuerte.
Yes, I did say that before coming into the fight, and I knew that in the first 2-3 rounds.
He hit you with some very hard, clean shots. Did anything hurt you at all?
Te pegó con unos golpes muy fuertes, muy limpios. ¿Te hizo daño? ¿Te dolió?
No, sentí nomás, pero en ningún momento me hizo daño.
I felt the punches, but it didn't hurt me at all.
What do you attribute your success in this fight to? Was it your intelligence, the way you went after him? The right hand that you kept snapping off his head?
¿A qué atribuyes tu éxito en esta pelea? ¿Tu inteligencia, ese derechazo a la cabeza?
Sí, sabía que él bajaba mucho la izquierda y ahí iba a entrar a la derecha. Por eso, en vez de tirar el jack, siempre iba a la contra con la derecha.
I knew he put his left hand down, so I knew I could counter with my right.
You said before the fight you wouldn't feel like a real champion until you showed you could win again as a champion. Do you feel like a real champion now?
Dijiste antes de la pelea que no te sentías como un campeón hasta poder ganar nuevamente como campeón. ¿Te sientes ahora como definitivo campeón?
Yo creo que sí. Ahora es cosa de todos ustedes, de todo el mundo del boxeo que vean que soy un verdadero campeón.
I definitely do feel that way, and now it's up to the public to see and the TV to see that I am a real champion, a true champion.
You mentioned that your opponents of choice in the future would be either Mayweather or Hatton. What are your thoughts now?
Mencionaste que tus rivales en el futuro podrían ser un Mayweather o Hatton.
Sí, desde ya le digo a Mayweather que yo soy el rey de esta categoría. Ese título que tiene él es mío, el que tiene Hatton es mío. Yo soy el verdadero campeón, ellos tienen que pelear conmigo.
As of now, I tell Mayweather that I am the true champion, that title that he has is mine. I tell Hatton that the title he has that is mine, and I am the true champion.
Give us a thought you have after so many years of obscurity, suddenly emerging as the welterweight champion of the world.
Luego de tantos años en la oscuridad, de repente ahora encontrarte en la cima del mundo como campeón welter. Explícanos eso.
Para mí una alegría muy grande porque, como ya dije, 7 años sin perder, peleando en todo el mundo y nunca me habían dado la chance mundial. Hoy soy campeón, ya tengo mi primer defensa y voy por Mayweather.
It's an extraordinary feeling after having fought for 7 years without losing, and now I am a champion, and I'm looking for Mayweather after my first defense.
Thank you very much. Congratulations again, Carlos.
Un saludo para Argentina.
Greetings to Argentina.
All right, thank you. Arturo, you got an experience. You built your body up to be a welterweight, but this is a guy who walks around 185, 190 pounds. Have you ever fought anybody as strong as that?
No, definitely not. You know, by the time I neutralized him with my boxing ability, it was too late. I was already tired. He was keep putting pressure, and very strong. You know, you can tell he was getting strong every round, and I was kind of getting weaker. And you know, I did my best to just fight a stronger guy than I am.
Why were you bending down against the ropes?
I was just trying to lean my butt against the ropes to make him learn him in, but he didn't fall for it. And you know, I was trying to do everything, use my experience against him. You know, he's a little slower than I was, but he tried. You know, he was good.
Did you hurt your right hand?
I don't know what happened. You know, my wrist locked. I don't know what happened. If it's not my knuckle, it's my wrist. Who knows?
They tried to make you box this guy. Could you really box him?
I don't know. You know, I tried to box him. you know, he trained for me. He trained for my style. He looked like he knew what he was doing against me. So, you know, every fight is a different fight. So he really boxed well tonight. You know, he did a great job against me.
You've shown great resilience, getting off the floor, coming back from defeats so often in your career. Now you're almost 34 years old. Can you keep doing this?
I don't know. And tonight was a tough thing to take a beating like that. I don't know what I'm going to do. Right now I'm going to rest, that's for sure.
So you would consider retiring?
Probably. I'm not sure yet, but what I felt tonight after what happened tonight, I might think about it.
Thank you very much, Arturo. Jim?
All right, thank you very much. Well, if Arturo Gatti does indeed consider retirement, you know, 1 week after we've stressed that perhaps Fernando Vargas should look in the same direction, two of the most exciting fighters of the past decade seem to be moving on forward onto the rest of their lives, and certainly will miss them. But now the welterweight division threatens to bulge at the seams with prominent fighters, Emmanuel. And here's yet another prominent fighter in the welterweight division who says that he wants to fight Floyd Mayweather Jr. He wants to fight Ricky Hatton. He's looking for big money. He doesn't seem to want to fight Antonio Margarito. Nobody wants to fight Antonio Margarito. This is the guy who's strong enough and physical enough to fight Margarito.
He is a really strong, dangerous fighter. And by the way, the IBF welterweight championship that was held by Floyd Mayweather, he relinquished it. And you're going to have Mark Suarez and Kermit Cintron fighting for that vacated title. But whoever fights this guy, Baldomir, better be prepared to box. He can take a punch. He's strong. And to just stand there and just trade punches with him, include Margarito, it could be suicidal. Whoever fights him better use a little footwork. He's not the fastest guy on his feet, but a tough chin, good punch, tremendous, strong internal strength. It's going to be a hard guy to beat.
I can see him fighting Hatton. I mean, that'll be a war. Wouldn't he be biting off more than he could chew to fight a Floyd Mayweather Jr. with all that skill?
Well, I don't know. Floyd still hasn't, to me, fought a very good, strong welterweight like that still, and the guy who came to fight. You know, I mean, that we're building most of his welterweight success off of Zab Judah, who's always been inconsistent about everything he's did in boxing, and then based off of Gatti, who has been consistently a loser when he fights technical boxers. So I don't think that all of the praise for Mayweather as a welterweight is justifiable yet. He needs to fight somebody like that to impress me. I saw tonight.
Well, Larry, as I mentioned to Emmanuel, here's another guy who doesn't list Antonio Margarito among his potential opponents, and I think that's the guy who'd have the best chance to fight Margarito because of his great strength. But what do you see happening now that Baldomir has solidified his hold on the welterweight championship?
Well, first for Baldomir, I asked him last week when I went to watch him work out in a gym, being a champion, does it make the sky bluer? Does it make the grass greener? Does it make the food taste better? He said, I'll tell you after the fight with Gatti. So he's in a very good place now, and certainly one of those road warriors who has earned this, one of those Cinderella stories that we find in boxing. What everybody is wondering about now is what happens with Mayweather now that De La Hoya still hasn't decided whether he's going to fight him. Mosley doesn't look like he's going to fight him. Baldomir is here. Cotto is out there, maybe to fight Baldomir now. Maybe somebody can change Mosley's mind. Margarito, we've talked about the fact that Mosley has turned down a very big guarantee to fight Mayweather. Mayweather's turned down a big guarantee to fight Margarito. The ball is in the court of Mayweather. We wonder whether he's going to try Spinks, the 154-pound champion. The good news, this is all being settled in the ring.
And the backdrop against which all of this takes place is the overriding question of whether some of this action is going to lead eventually to the biggest fight in the sport, Oscar De La Hoya against Floyd Mayweather Jr.
You got it right.
Still out there. Well, it's a poignant night. Over the course of the last decade, fans on the East Coast developed an indelible love affair with Arturo Gatti. Fans on the West Coast developed an indelible love affair with Fernando Vargas. Tonight, you watched them both taken apart on the same show. One on tape, one live. They've meant a lot to us at HBO. We wish them well. And a big hello to the new star from Santa Fe, Argentina, the hometown of Carlos Monzon, the great middleweight champion, now the hometown of Carlos Baldomir. Absolutely and emphatically, the welterweight champion. Thanks for being with us. Let's look ahead to July 29. Boxing After Dark is back, featuring Vivian Harris against former lightweight champ Stevie Johnston. Also, Joshua Clottey faces Richard Gutierrez. 1 week later, a World Championship boxing doubleheader in Madison Square Garden. Ike Quartey faces Vernon Forrest in a battle of comebacking former welterweight titleists. Also that night, Hasim Uma takes on Seshu Powell. And log on to our revamped website, HBO.com, for all your boxing details and information. Next on HBO, stay tuned for Entourage on the East Coast and the premiere of War of the Worlds on the West Coast. And for our entire HBO crew, I'm Jim Lampley, saying so long from Atlantic City, New Jersey.
This has been a presentation of HBO Sports.